Minasan konnichiwa and welcome to the Board Game Dojo, the YouTube channel from Tokyo, Japan, where we go over games from Asia and Asian designers. Today we are doing a Kickstarter preview for 1, 2, 3 Cheese. Wait, we're doing a Kickstarter preview? We've never done a Kickstarter preview before. Yes, because we got the game for free to do it, remember? That's true, and you should know that. We did get this game for free in exchange for a Kickstarter preview, and so we're going to do that. But here's the thing, for better or for worse, I am a super backer on multiple crowdfunding platforms, and I know how annoying those Kickstarter videos can be if they're just hype pieces, and so we are not going to do that. In today's video, we are going to go over a brief overview of how the two game modes play in 1, 2, 3 Cheese, as well as who this game is for and who it definitely isn't for, so that hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know whether it is worth your hard-earned money to back when this comes to BackerKit or not. So let's get it going. This is 1, 2, 3 Cheese. 1, 2, 3 Cheese comes in two modes: an escape mode that's for 2 to 4 players, and a heist mode that's for 1 or 2 players. The two game modes share a lot of DNA, including the types of plays that make up your actions. Where you'll be playing your cards differs based on the two game modes. In the 1 to 2 player heist mode, you're going to be playing your cards onto a vault. In the 2 to 4 player escape mode, you're going to be playing your cards onto someone's stash. Let's go over the types of plays of cards that you can play in 1, 2, 3 Cheese. The first one is called Drop, and that's simply when you play a card with the same or higher number in the same color. So this is a red 1, I can put on top of that a red 2. Another play would be the Melt, when you play a pair of cards with the same number and color to the top card of the stash or vault of the same color. So for example, this is a red 2, I'll play a pair of red 5s. The next one would be Cheese, which is when you play a straight of 3 cards of any color to the top of the stack. Note that these do not have to be the same color as each other, so I can play a green 1, a red 2, and a blue 3. Both modes have a gobble action, and this differs slightly. In the heist mode, you'll discard all the cards in one vault to a stack in front of you, and then you can play a 1 from your hand to draw up to 2 cards. In the escape mode, you can take 1 or 2 cards from somebody's stash. Now, the reason that you're doing these different card actions differs based on the two game modes. In escape mode, you're going to be trying to play your cards into other people's stash because every card they have in their stash is worth a point. Any card that they have left in their hand at the end of the round is worth 2 points. And any card that matches the aged cheese card, which is drawn randomly at the beginning of the round. So let's say I draw this one at the beginning of the round, which is a red 2. Anybody that has a red 2 in their pile gets 3 points. Oh, and I should mention, you don't want points. So it is all out cheese warfare. In heist mode, you're going to be trying to complete these vaults, which are these things right here. You complete vaults by playing the cheese action or in having as many cards in that is the value of the active player. So say that I am the blue player here, I want 7 cards in this vault. The first to complete 4 vaults wins. There are a couple of wild cards and things to explain, but now you've got about 95% of how to play 1, 2, 3 Cheese. So let me clean this up, stand over there against the wall that needs some artwork, and let me tell you if this game might be for you or not. So before we go over the differences between the two modes and who it's for and who it's not for, let's go over the things that they have in common. To start, it comes in a nice small box, the same size of Boba Mahjong if you have that one. And the cards themselves don't take up much space at all, which is really nice when you're in a country that relies so heavily on public transportation. You could just play this on the train. The next thing that we can talk about is the theme. Okay, that's it. We talked about the theme. Yeah, there really isn't much of a theme here, which I guess for climbing games is par for the course, but for a game that we are actually quite excited by the theme, the theoretical theme that is, of being mice trying to get away in a heist, not having much of a theme is a little bit of a letdown. Next, let's go over the rulebook, which isn't the best rulebook I've ever read, but it's not the worst either. It's one of those weird rulebooks where you have to kind of read it a couple times, which is kind of unexpected for a game that is so rules light. But once you get it, you definitely get it, and it is very easy to teach other people and for them to learn and understand how to play with right away. So overall, a rules light game that is quite easy to teach. All right, so that does it for these similarities. Let's start talking about the differences between these two modes. And let's start with the heist mode, which is the 1 or 2 player mode. I'm going to mostly go over the 2 player mode because that's the one we played with the most. Let's start with who it's for. The 2 player mode is much more in line with a traditional climbing game. So if you're into that kind of game, you are going to be more attracted to this 2 player mode. There are timing considerations as to when to play to certain vaults. Do you need to protect a vault, or do you need to make sure your opponent doesn't get something in a vault? Or should you save up all of your cards to complete a vault in one foul swoop? But as well, you also have to keep in mind the idea of the smart pass. When should you gobble even though it doesn't immediately make sense to do so? It's not only keeping in mind what you can do, but keeping in mind what your opponent might be able to do and trying to prevent that from happening. And that is a thing that is going to maybe make this game something that is not going to be for some people as well, because really, in order to fully appreciate the 2 player game, you're going to have to play it a lot of times. The first couple times are going to be very different than when you play this the 4th or 5th time. In fact, the first couple times we played this super quickly because we both just went all out on the attack, and we were like, that's it? There's gotta be more to this. And there is. You just have to be able to explore the different mechanisms, the different hands that you can play, the idea of the smart pass that I brought up before. And you want to play this with the same person so you can learn and get better at this together. So if you don't have somebody that you can do that with, or you're not somebody that really likes to be kind of lukewarm or not really like a game the first couple times, but then be able to explore it and maybe like it in a future play, the 2 player mode is not going to be for you. Now let's move on to escape mode, which technically according to the rulebook plays 2 to 4, but like it's definitely a 3 or 4 player game mode. This is definitely going to be the more divisive of the 2, because this one is going to, I think, turn more people off than be attractive to others. Let me explain. This game is going to be attractive for those who are interested in games like Monopoly Deal rather than games that are more in the style of the modern climbing game. And that's because, yes, you're using the same mechanisms that you do in the 2 player game. You're using the same kinds of plays, for example. But that really isn't on the forefront of your mind when you're playing this game, because while, yes, that is the way that you're going to be playing the cards, you're going to be thinking of things that we call different names: bashing the leader, dogpiling, take that-ing. I don't know how to make that a verb. You are constantly going to be trying to hurt your opponents. Games of this will start in the first couple hands of not really being quite sure who is winning, and nobody's winning yet. Okay, so I'm just going to play the cards to the piles that I can play it for. But then suddenly the person across from you is going to be very much the leader, so all of you are going to start ganging up on them, which might mean that you can play cards on top of their pile, but it also might mean that you're going to use wild cards to set somebody else up so that they can play a really big play onto the leader's pile. And okay, they are no longer the leader. Who's next? Or it could happen like it did for me, where if you're more experienced with climbing games than the other people at the table, and they know that, they are all just going to gang up on you. So, hey, I don't care who else wins. This person just isn't going to win. And that's just going to happen. Now, that is in the spirit of the game, this dogpiling, this bashing of the leader, this idea that I want to hurt you and I need to play well. It's an interesting balance that this game provides. You want to play well enough to win, but not so well that you make it obvious that you are the one that's winning. You might even play cards to your own pile, even though that doesn't really make sense, but I'm going to let you explore that for yourself. And that's why I say it is interesting for people who are interested in Monopoly Deal. This 3 or 4 player game really does feel like I would see it at Walmart or Target, something that would get somebody from a Monopoly to the modern sect of board gaming, because it does have a bit of that take that ism to it that so many people really do enjoy. And if you're one of those people, then this 3 or 4 player game is going to be right up your alley. And if not, this one is going to be tossed across the room like a thing of stinky cheese. Well, there you have it. That's 1, 2, 3 Cheese, a game that comes in a tiny package with 2 modes, a thinky, analyzing along the lines of a traditional climbing game 2-player mode, and a 3 or 4 player mode that is a bit of chaos and bash the leader and either one of those game modes might be for you, or they might not be. Hopefully this video helped you figure out which one you are, and if this game is worth your hard-earned money to back or not. If it did, go on over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe for tons more reviews of Asian games and games from Asian designers. Until next time, arigatou gozaimashita. じゃあね